1. And welcome everybody to another Smart Money Circle update. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is a very special guest, Dr. Tianyi Jiang, who's co-founder and CEO of AvePoint. And we've got a lot to talk about today. I'm very excited. The ticker symbol for everybody that's following is AVPT. Without further ado, Dr. TJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show, Adam.
I always like to ask, can you tell us a little about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I was always a computer science engineer. First job out of school was at Lucent Bell Labs. That's where I met my co-founder, Kai Gong. And then I went to work on Wall Street, was writing trading systems at Deutsche Bank and then the Lehman Brothers. 9/11 was an event that's forever important in my life. My office, 40th floor of World Trade Center 1.
Oh, wow.
And that's, yeah, changed the course of trajectory for me. So instead of, staying in Wall Street and work on a very nice paying job, I went back to grad school. I went to NYU business school first, the MBA, but then changed to the PhD program for data mining and machine learning, and then started this business AvePoint along with my other co-founder, Kai. And it's been a great journey ever since. Now, 21 years later, we are a public company, and we're still very much passionate about what we do and very, very excited about our future.
Congratulations. That's an awesome story. So for people that are not familiar with AvePoint, can you please tell us a little about the business and what you guys do?
Yeah, AvePoint today is the largest third-party SaaS data management and governance platform for Microsoft Cloud. So SaaS is software as a service. We're truly global. We're in 18 countries, servicing customers around 100 countries. We operate mostly in the regulated industry. So folks like governments, banks, pharmaceutical, manufacturing, who really care about who has access to what, when, and where. So it's really that data security and lifecycle management data that we really have this cloud platform to help companies manage. And since we have gone to SaaS from on-prem world, because this company's been around for 21 years and SaaS hasn't been around for that long, we are now available to a lot of SMB businesses as well. So we just seen various new avenue for growth to help more and more customers and now partners as well as managed service providers to, again, secure and govern their data in cloud.
I love it. That's fantastic. So TJ, let's talk about risk, since obviously cloud, risk, data, it all is intertwined, and that's pretty much the golden thread, if you will, of what problems you guys solve and how the value you offer your clients. Can you talk to me a little about risk management and how you handle risk and what mistakes you see people make with respect to risk management?
Yeah, I think risk is a necessary part. It's a quintessential part of a business as well as his life. My advice and what I live by is to lean into risk. In business, we say the only constant in business is change. So instead of, I see some folks that are typically risk aware, averse, are make the conservative decisions. But you know what, Adam, in businesses, the ones that thrive are the ones that's actually making unconventional moves and the contrarian move, if we will, to essentially differentiate themselves from others. So as an entrepreneur, we are eternal optimists. We go through the ups and downs and we lean into risk. The key part of this is not just full-heartedly lean into risk, is to stay agile, keep your fingers and toes all on the ground, talk to customers, know how the market is shifting. I spend much of my time to different parts of the world, talk to customers, talk to partners, talk to my management and employees. And so I have a pause on where the market's going. So that way you can kind of forecast and see how the market is shifting as a way to manage risk. So don't shy away from risk, lean into it, manage it, stay agile, and be able to pivot. And that's key to success.
I love that. Yeah, leaning into risk is so powerful because most people look at it as pain and they want to run away from it, but then it hits them anyway and they're just not prepared. Okay, wonderful. So let's talk about the company. A lot of people are interested in the stock as well. So can you tell us some of your competitive advantages, please?
Yeah, so AvePoint, we started our pedigree on the on-prem world is with this Microsoft Enterprise Content Management platform called SharePoint. So our pedigree has always been enterprise content management. What does that mean? That means we actually look at business data from the birth, the creation, to all the way to the disposal. So the entire life cycle of business data. So that means collecting and connecting different systems, cloud to cloud, on-prem to cloud, and also really focus on the entire life cycle. So that platform play in today's cloud world is very unique. So we don't have a singular competitor. We have point competitors. So for example, we do data migration integration. Then we also do business continuity, situation of data backup, data archiving. And we also do license management, entitlement management, and cloud usage management so that we can save customers money from cloud overage, that type of scenarios. And of course, from a compliance and data privacy perspective, we have record management and compliance solutions to look at data privacy. So from that perspective, we have point competitors in each of these phases I talk about in terms of the data lifecycle management. So we win by being a platform player. Now, it's really interesting. We historically are very strong in the enterprise space because enterprise truly care about these things. Think of IBM's and Goldman Sachs and American Express. But very interestingly, once we make these solutions SaaS, they're a lot more accessible because we're software as a service. We're running it, we're operating it, we're securing it. So customers just have to point to their Microsoft Cloud tenant and then off we're to the races. Also, many small businesses are coming to us. These small businesses that are 5-man architect firms or 10-man law firms are also coming to us. So we see an expansion not from only enterprise, but also SMB. And we're doing this globally. And that's also another very unique aspect of us. So most software companies, even look at Salesforce, their 75% revenue come from USA. For us, we're quite global. We kind of mirror what Microsoft's revenue distribution is. Of course, they're a massive organization, but for us, 45% of our business is North America, and the 55% is evenly split between Western Europe and the tier one software markets in Asia, like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Singapore. So yeah, so that also that global flavor to this company is also quite unique.
I love that. That's really fantastic. So TJ, let's talk about some timeless lessons you've learned along the way. You've had a remarkable story, started off, shifted your career, went back to grad school, built a company, took it public, and here you are now, CEO and co-founder. So if you can, talk to us a little bit about some of the timeless lessons you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, there's so many heartaches along the way. I often give these talks in business schools and talk about entrepreneurship. A lot of people just think, entrepreneurship it's just the only way to go. For me, it's a lifestyle. It's a completely different life choices. Entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It's actually most 99.999% of the time is really, really hard. It's truly a 24/7 job. But my advice to people is life is a journey, life is a marathon. Everyone can be successful in their own right and have very fulfilling lives. It's focus on that part of it, focus on the journey. Don't be too stressed out and don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes when you go through obstacles or when the market changes for you, it's about how you remake yourself through that journey. Whether it's creating a company or whether it's developing your career or whether you're in grad school, just enjoy the journey. Life is too short anyway.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a great parallel to my own journey and enjoy the ride is so powerful. Okay, what are some timeless mistakes you've made or you've seen people make, and how do you recommend people avoid them?
So I have 5 really young kids, and sometimes I found that, so I often read a story books to them when they go to sleep. I actually glean a lot more truth from these children's books. So the hare versus turtle story is one I read to them a lot, and I recognize that it's actually a really good parable on life. So don't rush it. I think a lot of folks, work hard, try to go for immediate return, immediate results, and then once they get to a certain stage, they kind of hit a plateau, or just enjoy life, and or just take a more conservative, risk-averse approach. Whereas I said, hey, actually, from this principle of life is a journey, lifelong, growth mindset, 100 out of 100 times the turtle will be the hare. Slow and steady always win the race, and the race is actually a lifelong one. So that's what I now teach my kids, and that's the lesson I also learn for myself. Is like, yeah, so there are things you want to win it so bad, and you want to get to it, but you know what? Actually, oftentimes patience and persistence and perseverance is the best way to go, and then just keep going on.
Yeah, I love that. I have young kids too, and it's amazing to me how much I've learned about adults by just looking at children and their interactions and how they behave and so on and so forth. It's really, really unbelievable. I love that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, TJ. All right, so what makes a great leader?
That's a great question. So for me personally, it's about servant leadership. That means we have to do the things that we ask people to do. So at that point, we're a very flat organization. I never have an executive assistant. I say, hey, there's technology for that. If you need to book a time on calendar, etc., just let's do that, right? So we are a flat organization. We don't like to have other people do things that we can do ourselves. We empower people so that they can get to the next level. So we're always looking to develop next generation leaders. But first and foremost is servant leadership. So don't act like a big boss. This is, no job is too low for senior management, especially for CEO. I always say CEO is actually the chief bottle washer, chief entertainment officer, as well as the chief executive officer. You have to do all of it, right? In tough times, you have to be the chief cheerleader. In really tough times, you have to jump in and do the work, talk to the client, write the proposals, review the deals, and work the negotiations. So I think that people see it and people follow, because that gives you credibility. You're not just a talking head that just do podcasts all day long, right? But actually out there doing the hard yards
Right.
with everybody, and that instills so much confidence and essentially we're in this together. So I think that works really well for me.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really good. I have a very similar approach in my leadership style as well. Let's talk about some obstacles, because like you said, there's journeys, there's bumps along the way. Let's talk about some obstacles. One that if you want to share a story that you faced, and then how do you overcome that? In other words, turn lemon into lemonade, or look at the bright side of it.
Oh boy. There is many, many obstacles. I think some of the advice I hear is problems never as bad as you think. There's just so many stories to tell there. So I'll share one story with you, Adam. When we first started, we were just two guys in Jersey. My co-founder for 3 years, he coded in Somerset Public Library. His wife kicked him out of the house because he was just so stubborn. He wants to do this business. And his wife's like, go get a real job, right? And I was in grad school. So we went to Morgan Stanley because at the time we were the only one offering a data backup solution in this thing called Microsoft SharePoint. And they said, hey, we like your product, we tested it, it works, everything. But you know what? Because we're a large bank, we're Wall Street, what if you're not around next year? And I had to say, well, if you buy our software, we will be around next year.
I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's those catch-22 situations in the early days of starting a business. That's really, really hard. And you just have to slog through and be very, very optimistic and, just punch through it. And I often tell a lot of entrepreneurs, you have to have the mindset of, hey, not being able to make any money for 3 years, and can you still do it? Can you still convince yourself and be passionate enough to pursue this route? Because most people think about, tech success. They think about Snapchat, they think about, Facebook, etc. Almost instant overnight success. But you know what? 99.999% of the companies are not overnight successes.
Right. I love that. So, okay, a few thoughts come to mind there. One, did you get the account? You're here now, so I'm assuming you did. But
we actually did not get that account.
Oh, wow.
So that's why. Yeah. But you know what we did get at the same time? It was funny. So Kai, my co-founder, he didn't have enough money to go to these trade shows. So there's this tech trade show in New Jersey. So what he did is he went to the parking lot and print out flyers on every car, put on every car. And then one guy called him. I still remember to this day, our very first customer, Edward Volpe, the SharePoint admin at the utility company, PSENG.
Mm-hmm.
And give us a chance just from a flyer on his car in a parking lot at a trade show.
I love that. That is so awesome. Admittedly, I've done flyers also on cars, so I know it's very effective. But that's brilliant. I absolutely love that. So TJ, let's talk about some of the growth standpoint. First off, have you always been an optimist, or did that come after success?
I have always been an optimist, Adam.
Okay, I love it. I'm just
That's
curious.
Why I think,
yeah.
I think it takes a special mindset to be an entrepreneur, because it's not something that's that works for everyone.
Right.
Obviously, right? Otherwise, everyone would be entrepreneurs.
Right.
I think I'm always been an optimist. That's just my personality.
I love it. So I've noticed, I interview lots of CEOs and big money managers, and one of the themes from the very successful, the smart money, if you will, the whole point of the show, the smart money circle, is to learn. And one of the similarities is that optimism, the unbridled optimism, being able to look at problems instead of as something negative that can, hurt you kind of thing, as opportunities that can help you. And I love that, the optimism inside of you, it's magnetic, I feel it. So let's talk about somewhere where, along the way, how did you come up with the idea that the backup SharePoint, I'm very familiar with the problem. How did you see that as an opportunity and then decide to make the company?
That's a great question, Adam.
Thank
you. We started not in SharePoint, we started in Exchange. And back then, this is 2001, 2002, when you're in B2B software, we decided to pick B2B software. You're literally shipping CDs to people. So nobody would buy CD from like a guy and a half in New Jersey that they never heard of. Nobody.
Right.
So,
right.
And also Exchange space is pretty crowded. And then Microsoft came out with this thing called Lake Tahoe Project. So we said, hey, actually use the same backup data format. So the data structure same, schema same. Let's just support it, even though we know nothing about it. And then still nobody bought software from us. And then a year later, Microsoft came out with the second version. This was back in the day of on-prem software, where always the first version of Microsoft product is not great. Second version is getting better, right? So they came out with second version. We went to a trade show, which is a tablecloth on the table. And then Microsoft, I attended this migration session. So Microsoft said, hey, we have a new version. The data schema is the SQL database. Everything's completely different. So there's no migration path from first version to second version. So of course, their biggest customers and partners like HP and Dell say, hey, we believe in you. Now you're leaving us high and dry. And there I saw the opportunity, because we were studying the backup formats. We knew the data structure. We knew we can back it up. Thereby, we can actually migrate and do the mapping, even though at that moment we didn't have a product. So I raised my hand and say, hey, we can migrate you. Come over to our table. Of course, everyone started coming over. We're just printing flyers everywhere, again, around the conferences.
Right.
And then that included, the person that came over was Microsoft head of SharePoint development team, gentleman by the name Jeff Teeper. And he said, you have a product? We said, yeah. So come and show me in Redmond. We coded the product over the weekend.
Nice.
I flew over to Seattle, took the cheapest possible connecting flight.
Yeah.
Brought his PC tower because he's too poor to have a laptop. Plug into CRT monitor, showed it, it worked. And Jeff's like, great, we're going to start referring customer to you.
Nice.
So HP, Dell came to us. And that's what, changed our trajectory.
Got it. I love that. So it's like that when lightning strikes, it's you want to be there to capture that. That's fantastic. So TJ, I
That's right. You
know,
have to be lucky, and you have to see the opportunity, and you have to continue to roll with it.
yeah, and be innovative because you literally didn't have anything, but you coded it over the weekend and it worked. So you be there and be ready because yeah,
That's
that's
right.
really powerful. Um, let's wrap up here, TJ, with what's the best advice you can share with your 30-year-old self?
Wow, that's always a very tough question.
Or best
As an
piece of
advice,
advice. Let me give you more than one. How about that?
I would say again, for our earlier conversation, um, life is a marathon. You just have to enjoy the journey and pace yourself. Because I actually started running marathon after I turned 40.
Nice.
Um, my bucket list item was to run the Abbott six, the six major marathon around the world. I finally did that last year, finished
Well
it
done.
with Boston. So it brings a new meaning to me, running marathons. So when I was in the earlier days in my 30s, I always worry too much about what's ahead. I would tell myself, just part of the pleasure and joy is the journey. I
Mhm.
still thinking about early days of AvePoint when we had literally nothing and we were traveling to different cities and just pitching and all the time and hustling. And now thinking back to it, it's all nothing but fun memories. At
Right.
that time, I'm pretty sure I was pretty stressed out and I was thinking about, are we going to be make it next year or not?
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's, hey, just trust yourself, be, confident, stay agile, lean into the risk and enjoy the journey. And it's not easy. Of course, now, looking back and saying that, it's easy for me to say that. But of course, in that time, I think a lot of times more stressed out than enjoying the journey.
Gotcha. No, I love that. So TJ, you're still young and you've got a long path in front of you. Uh, Talk about enjoying the journey, but now that you've made it, so to speak, where you don't have to worry about the next meal and or the flight, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? So, okay, you're now further up the self-actualization type thing. What other items gives you joy or gives you passion besides the running the business, creating things? Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I know a lot of people, they want to make it, they try so hard, they're on that journey, they struggle, they've got that stress, but then they get to a certain point where it's like, now what? And then they want to climb the next mountain. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because that would be very helpful, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I joined this organization called YPO, so Young Presidents
Okay.
Organization. Uh, it's all about lifelong learning, growth mindset. So it's an organization full of other entrepreneurs, professional managers, family office folks of certain size businesses. It's life changing for me. I learned so much from that to uncover my own blind spots and also to learn from others about how to overcome different challenges and also matter to the community that you live in, make a difference to the people, the community that you work in. So that has been life changing for me. And also what I want to do in growing AvePoint as a platform is to elevate the next level leaders and have them to go through that experience. And for example, we one of the very unique aspects of AvePoint is we have offices in 18 countries, and predominantly all the heads of business in each country are the folks from those countries.
Nice.
So we don't send like all Americans to run the show. We actually, in Japan, Japanese, all the senior management are all Japanese. In Australia, all Australian. In German, all German. So in Germany, all German. So that kind of thing. So we actually trying to truly localize the approach to be successful in the platform we build. In the process, we're elevating these new generation of entrepreneurs, if you will, to be successful. And we try to foster this startup mentality and entrepreneurship across our platforms. For example, recently we did a ed tech vertical focused spin out. It has its own CEOs and its own funding, and it's all growing fantastically well, taking advantage of this remote education technology boom that happened partly triggered by COVID. So all those things allow us to essentially create more unicorns in the process. So that's been quite a joy and project for me.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, TJ, thank you so much for your help, for coming on today and sharing your thoughts. It's been very helpful. Ticker symbols AVPT, AvePoint Inc. And hopefully, TJ, will speak to you again soon. This was really, really enjoyable.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me on your show. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.